A red car comes to a halt in front of a bank on the street, and we are introduced to three professional robbers, Buddy, Darling, and Griff. They exit the car and rush into the bank. Baby is a young man who is the getaway driver. He waits in the red car while the bank robbers do their dirty work. Baby is a melomaniac. In case you're wondering, a melomaniac is a person with an abnormal enthusiasm for music. Yeah, you guessed it. I just googled that. Oh. And every scene throughout this movie is fully synced with the music he's listening to, which could turn you into a melomaniac just like he is. So you better watch out and take care. His love for music should come as no surprise, as it's shown how he's enjoying himself while listening to the song Bell Bottoms. The robbers return to the car a few moments later, and Baby completes his task. He drives them away while blasting music through his headphones. He drives around the city, attempting to avoid the cops who are following them from all sides. Baby's driving abilities are exceptional. This is evident as he drives evasively through numerous obstacles in his path. A police helicopter soon joins the chase, and Baby arrives at two red cars. The three pass beneath a bridge, and Baby deceives the cops by switching places with a car. Baby escapes, enters a parking lot, switches cars, and flees. Later, while listening to Harlem Shuffle, Baby gets coffee for the entire team. He accepts the coffee and joins the robbery crew in entering a building where their employer, Doc, an astute man, is waiting for them. Doc divides the robbery proceeds while Griff questions Doc about why Baby is always listening to music. Griff tries to intimidate Baby, but he ignores him. They eventually take their share and leave. Doc takes the majority of Baby's share to pay off his debt. He hands him money, gloves, and a new disposable phone. He informs him that he will contact him soon for another job. Baby returns home to live with a foster father named Joseph. Baby hides his share of the stolen money beneath the floorboards. Baby is advised by Joseph to avoid shady jobs because they do not belong to him. Later, Baby remixes the recordings of his meeting with Doc and the other robbers into a song. He has a cassette tape that contains all of the various recordings that have been named and remixed into songs. A cassette tape labeled Mom is smack dab in the middle of it all. Every time he listens to it, he remembers his good times with Mom. Her parents used to fight frequently, and they died in a car accident one day while fighting. Later, Baby visits a diner and meets a lovely waitress named Deborah. She walks past him singing a song, and Baby records her humming on tape. Deborah soon returns to take his order and notices him recording. They're talking, and Baby asks her what song he's singing. Later, he visits a music store and locates the exact song. Doc calls Baby one day and offers him a new job. Baby approaches his boss, who introduces him to his new teammates Eddie No-Nos, JD, and Bats. The new team is also perplexed as to why Baby is constantly listening to music. Doc claims it is because of a childhood accident. This caused him to develop tinnitus, so he uses music to drown out the buzzing. This is the final task Baby must complete for Doc in order to repay his debt. While Baby listens to a new song, Doc explains the plan to everyone. Bats believes Baby is not paying attention to the plan, so Doc asks him detailed questions, which Baby answers perfectly. The group arrives at their destination the next day and discovers the armored van. While the others go to rob it, Baby sits in the car listening to music. Bats kill the van's guard and then return to the car. Baby manages to flee, but a Marine in his van begins following them. Bats attempts to shoot the Marine, but Baby avoids him. Bats is about to shoot the Marine when Baby pulls back to keep the madman from killing him. The crashing Marine is lost as Baby drives down the highway tracks. When the group becomes stuck in traffic, they abandon the vehicle and steal another from a woman with a baby. JD claims he misplaced his rifle, but they can't go back. Baby leads the gang to a parking lot, where they switch cars once more. Bats is irritated because Baby purposefully caused him to miss the Marine shot. Baby denies it, and they return to Doc to divide their profits. Surprisingly, Baby only sees Bats and Eddie. So Doc gives Baby his cut of the profits and asks him to dispose of JD's body in the trunk. Because the police would find JD because of his gun, they had to get rid of him. Baby wrecks the car in a junkyard, but then has flashbacks to his childhood. Baby visits Deborah at her regular diner. But just before we get to the juicy stuff, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, let's cut to the chase, shall we? They talk about music, and when Deborah learns his name, she can't believe it's Baby. They later leave the diner and go to the laundromat. They talk about themselves more, and he tells her about his hearing problems after the accident in which he lost both of his parents. Baby follows Joseph's advice and finds a regular job. He gets a job as a pizza delivery boy and begins spending more and more time with Deborah. Baby takes Deborah to a fancy restaurant one night and notices Doc in the process. When he approaches him, Doc asks him to help him with his other robberies. Doc threatens Baby with harming Deborah and Joseph if he does not comply. The following day, Doc takes Baby to a post office to plot his next heist. Doc instructs Baby to search the inside of the post office and instructs him to bring his grandson Sam with him to avoid arousing suspicion. The protagonist searches the post office for cameras, windows, customers, and open clerks when Baby and Sam enter. Surprisingly, Sam informs him of a number of cameras, windows, and employees in the office. They then interact with a pleasant cashier before returning to the car to inform Doc of the situation. Later, Baby calls Deborah at the diner and asks her to accompany him on his escape. When Baby goes to meet Doc to plan the new robbery, he runs into Buddy, Darling, and Bats. Doc violates his personal rule of not using the same crew for more than one heist. Doc describes their plan for the post office and requests that the gang purchase new weapons from the butcher, an arms dealer. They drive to the meeting location, but Bats asks Baby to stop at a store on the way. Darling tells her boyfriend that Bats looks at her strangely and makes her feel uneasy when they come to a halt. Buddy asks if she wants him to kill him before the robbery, but Darling says no. When the gang arrives at the warehouse, the butcher shows them guns and rifles. Suddenly, Bats shoots the butcher, resulting in a gunfight. Darling is shot in the arm during this time, and Bats goes on a rampage. They then leave the warehouse, and Bats detonates a grenade inside a car, destroying the entire structure. Bats informs the gang that those officers were cops who did the right thing. Bats requests that Baby stop at the diner on the way back. Baby is aware that Deborah is still working and refuses stop at the diner. Nonetheless, Bats makes him stop. Deborah notices Baby's concern as they enter the diner and takes orders without revealing that she knows him. Deborah presents the bill, and Bats draws his gun to avoid paying in cash. Baby grabs Bats' hand and pulls him back, so they leave the diner without a fuss. Baby pays the bill and leaves Deborah a note. 2 a.m. road trip. When the gang returns to Doc, he informs them that the mission has failed. Bats informs him that the butcher and his men were cops who were shot first. Buddy and Darling support him, while Baby looks at them with suspicion. Doc knows that the cops will send all of their forces to them in a matter of hours, so he plans to call off the robbery. Doc asks Baby what he wants to do, and the three insist on taking the risk anyway. He advises them to sleep and do the work in the morning. Later that night, at 2 a.m., Baby tries to sneak away to meet up with Deborah, but is abruptly stopped by Buddy and Bats. Both become suspicious of Baby, and Bats knocks him out with his tape recorder. Baby awakens later at Doc's table. Baby claims they are simply remixed tapes and plays a few of them. Meanwhile, Deborah is at the diner, waiting for Baby. The following morning, the gang returns to the scene of the heist. Buddy is forced to pose as a hostage while Bats sneaks in. While waiting in the car, Baby notices the cashier he met the day before at the post office. He nods and tells her not to enter. She turns around and walks back with the guard. The guard approaches Baby's car, but the gang reappears, and Bats shoots the guard down. Baby abruptly fails to start the car, and Bats threatens him with a gun. Baby, enraged, presses the accelerator and drives up to a truck with iron rods sticking out of it, killing Bats. The police arrive soon after, and the group attempts to flee. Buddy and Darling kill some cops while others pursue Baby. Baby dashes through the city before entering a shopping mall to change his appearance. However, the cops track him down and continue to pursue him. He leaves the building and steals a car in order to meet up with Buddy and Darling. Darling is killed by cops during a shootout, and Baby flees and steals an elderly woman's car. Before leaving, he listens to the radio and returns the old lady's purse. Baby returns to her apartment to find everything in disarray and Joseph on the floor. He dials Deborah's number at the diner, but her boss answers and informs him that Baby is on her way. He then conceals all of his money beneath the floorboards and transports Joseph to a nursing home. Finally, he apologizes to his foster father for disappointing him and departs while the police continue to search for him. Baby rushes to the diner to get Deborah and notices Buddy sitting inside. He demands that Baby pay for the murder of Darling and threatens to kill Deborah. A police officer enters the diner and uses the restroom. Buddy is distracted by another waitress when Baby pulls out his gun and shoots him. Buddy shamelessly shoots a police officer who approaches him and asks if he is okay. When Baby dials Doc from a payphone, the man tells him not to call again. The couple steals a car from two hippie boys before heading to Doc's house. Baby requests that Doc return the boxes in exchange for the money he stole from the post office. Doc initially refuses, but when he sees him with Deborah, he agrees to hand over the tapes. He also gives him some money so that he can flee the country. They see the butcher's men waiting for them when they exit the elevator. Doc shoots them, but he eventually gets shot. Buddy appears in a police car and runs over Doc. Following that, he pursues Baby. Baby fires a few shots before leaping over Buddy's car. Buddy pursues Baby and Deborah after they jump into Doc's car. Soon after, Baby pushes the other driver's car over the railing and flips it. Baby gets out of the car to check on Buddy, but he appears from the side with a gun. Buddy fires around Baby's ear, deafening him. Deborah strikes him from behind, causing him to drop the gun. Baby picks up the gun and shoots Buddy in the leg while Buddy is distracted by Deborah. Buddy is killed when he falls over the earlier fallen car. Deborah and Baby set out on a trip the next day when they come across a police blockade on the bridge ahead. She tries to flee, but Baby stops her. He kisses her and exits the car to surrender to the cops. Baby is on trial for the robberies. The post office cashier and the lady whose car Baby stole all testify on Baby's behalf. They all think of him as non-threatening. The judge sentences him to 25 years in prison, with a 5-year parole possibility. Baby receives letters from Deborah about where they plan to visit when he is released from prison. Baby is finally released from prison and reunited with Deborah after 5 years. Okay. Now isn't that a happy ending? Don't be a stranger. Feel free to comment down below and share your thoughts. And I know you'd love to see more videos like this, so please subscribe to support the channel. It really means a lot. And thank you so much for watching.